Hi friends, and welcome to another story time. My name is Harley and this is Doppy, and today we're going to be reading a really cute and fun story called The Skunk Who Couldn't Smell, written by Sarah McCormick and Michael Smith. Okay, let's get right into it. The Skunk Who Couldn't Smell. Smellarella Skunkerton always knew she was unique, but she didn't quite know why. After all, she looked like all the skunks she knew. She liked to eat fruit and dig for bugs just like them. And when she was scared, psst, her skunk spray came out like the other skunks did too. Still, Smellarella knew something about her wasn't quite the same. One day, Smellarella and her siblings came home from school to find their mom baking. It smells so good in here, her sister Savy declared. Yum, fresh bread, her brother Sneaky Pete added. Smellarella stuck her nose in the air and took a few sniffs. What were they talking about? She couldn't smell anything. Curious, Smellarella held a loaf of piping hot bread to her nose. Why can't I smell this? She wondered. The next day, Smellarella raced home from school ahead of her siblings. Her mom had promised to make chocolate chip cookies and she couldn't wait to smell them. Smellarella sped into the kitchen and saw the warm cookies sitting on the counter. Closing her eyes, she took a big sniff. Smellarella's eyes popped open with shock. She couldn't smell the cookies either. But maybe, was it possible the cookies simply had no smell? That thought didn't last long. The other Skunkertons quickly piled into the kitchen, raving about how delicious the chocolate chip cookies smelled. Smellarella felt her stomach tie itself in knots. If she couldn't smell the cookies, and she couldn't smell the bread, what else was she missing? Grabbing her journal, Smellarella headed outside to investigate. Grass? Nope. Flowers? Pigpen? Not a chance. Smellarella was starting to feel desperate. She even tried spraying a dog, but she couldn't smell that either. Though by the look on the dog's face, he sure could. Smellarella headed home, anxious to talk to her mom, but as she opened the door, she remembered her mom was working. "What's wrong?" Sneaky Pete asked. "You look upset." "I have a problem," Smellarella confessed. "I can't smell." Sneaky Pete raised an eyebrow. "You can't smell? Who's ever heard of a skunk who can't smell? This I've got to see." Sneaky Pete blindfolded Smellarella and put her through a sneaky smell test. "What food am I holding?" Sneaky Pete asked. Smellarella took a deep breath. "I don't know," she said with a shrug. Sneaky Pete was sure Smellarella was lying, but how could he prove it? Gathering his siblings together, he asked them to find the stinkiest items around. Before Smellarella knew it, she was being asked to smell moldy cheese, sweaty socks, rotten eggs, and Sneaky Pete's weak old gym shorts. Smellarella was growing impatient. "Enough!" she shouted. "I can't smell anything!" Sneaky Pete still wasn't convinced, and he had a sneaky trick up his sleeve to prove Smellarella was lying. He unscrewed the cap of the pepper shaker and shoved it under Smellarella's nose. As Smellarella breathed in, the pepper tickled her nose and made her sneeze. Achoo! "Busted!" the Skunkertons yelled in unison. "You sneezed. That proves you can smell," added Sneaky Pete. Tears streaked down Smellarella's face as her siblings danced around, chanting, "Smellarella said she couldn't smell, but the pepper had a different tale to tell." She knew they would never believe her now. Just then, Mama Skunkerton came home from work. Seeing Smellarella's tears, she asked, "What's wrong, honey?" Smellarella sobbed. "I've tried smelling everything from cookies to grass, but I can't smell anything." "She's lying! She sneezed at the pepper!" Sneaky Pete shouted. "She failed my sneaky smell test." "What's a sneaky smell test?" Mama Skunkerton asked. "They made me smell all sorts of stinky stuff like moldy cheese and sweaty socks, but I couldn't smell any of it. Then they put pepper under my nose. When I sneezed, they all said I was lying." Mama Skunkerton wiped away Smellerella's tears. "Smellarella," she said, "pepper makes you sneeze because it tickles your nose, not because of the smell. I believe you, and I promise we'll get to the bottom of this." A few days later, Doc Diggins looked over Smellerella's notes. "Grass, cookies, moldy cheese. You really know how to conduct a proper experiment," he said. "But I have a few tests of my own to run. They may help me figure out what's going on. First, we will start by taking a look up here," Doc Diggins explained, poking around in Smellerella's nose. I think we need a deeper look." "Smellerella," Doc Diggins said, "I know what is wrong with you." Smellerella practically jumped off the exam table. "Really? What is it?" "You don't have an olfactory bulb," started Doc Diggins. Smellerella touched her nose gingerly. "An old what?" she asked. Doc Diggins chuckled and then explained. "An olfactory bulb. It's what helps your brain distinguish smells. You were born without one." "But if I was born without it, that means—" "That you have never been able to smell," interrupted Doc Diggins. "Not even as a little baby skunk. You just didn't notice until someone brought it up." On the drive home, Smellerella looked sadly out the window. The world was full of smells, but not for her. She wondered what else she was missing out on. Suddenly, Sneaky Pete pointed at Stinkerina's shoulder and shouted, "Spider!" Stinkerina turned and saw a giant creepy spider. Before she knew it, psst, she accidentally skunked the whole van. "Stinkerina!" Sneaky Pete groaned, sticking his head out the window to avoid the smell. "It was just a toy spider. Ugh, this smells so bad." Watching her family, Smellerella started to smile. She couldn't smell bread or cookies, but she also didn't have to smell Sneaky Pete's weak old gym shorts or Stinkerina's skunk spray. Maybe having no sense of smell wasn't all bad. Smellerella grabbed her journal to make one final note. "I always knew I was unique, and now I know why." The end.
Wasn't that a great story? We loved it and we hope you loved it too. And if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. We'll see you in the next story time. Bye!